GIF. Hell! Today's horror game in question puts us in a house that is supposed to be haunted, and we are armed with a camcorder in an attempt to prove the myth of this house being haunted to be true. The house in question was owned by a well-known, very famous architect named Marcy, who designed the house itself, and she was very proud of her work, but did not take too kindly to criticism. In the end, it all became too much for her, and she ended up taking her own life inside the house. Is this game worth the positive reviews it's been getting on Steam? I've played through the game myself, and I'm going to be sharing that answer with you all right here, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Suite 776. Did a light just fall on my head? The game starts you off in a seemingly very well lit house in the middle of the day, which is not your usual typical setting for a horror game, I'm sure you can imagine. You start off and you walk around the house, and just like most typical PT-inspired horror games, you'll find yourself looping around the same areas all the time. Not very many rooms to explore, but you'll have to figure out what it is you need to do in order to progress the game, whether that's zooming in on something or clicking on something, interacting with something in the house. You'll have to figure those things out to get further in the game. One main gimmick that Suite 776 has is a bell. Now, you have to ring this bell multiple times to get further forward in the game, and each time you ring the bell, it inflicts criticism on Marcy, the famous architect who does not take kindly to criticism. And every time you ring it, supposedly, the more times and more angry she gets. There are some simple puzzle elements to this game too. You'll have to find a paperclip, for example, to unlock a drawer, and then open that drawer to find a screwdriver, which you'll need later on in the game. And there's also some codes you'll have to find to unlock padlock refrigerators and stuff like that. Very, very simple puzzle elements to the game that won't take you too long to figure them out. But for the most part, the game is more about building suspense, as you constantly feel you're being watched as you explore this curiously designed house. A lot of these PT-inspired walking simulator horror games have got people scratching their heads in some parts of the game, including PT itself actually, as to where you need to go next or what you actually need to do or interact with in what order to actually progress. Well, the good news is with Suite 776 is, although it is a walking simulator and you do have to do that for the most part, the one gimmick with ringing the bell really is a very big factor in how you actually progress through the game. So the chances are, if you get stuck or lost and not know what to do next, go and ring the bell, and for sure it probably will progress you further in the game. Suite 776 looks and sounds absolutely fine. Like, nothing wrong with how the game is visually. The settings and the environment look absolutely well done, and although there's not many places or rooms to look around in short horror games like this, everything you see did not come with any bug-related issues that I saw, or any pop-ins or anything like that. There's not much in the way of music in this game, but that's a given the kind of game that this is. But the audio, in terms of how that sounded in the game, was crisp and deserves to be played loud in headphones, in the dark, just like every kind of horror game like this should. Some people who've played through this game might give the game a bit of stick because it's such a short game. You'll get roughly around 45 minutes to an hour on your first playthrough, which isn't a long time, but worth the price in my opinion for what I paid for it, which was just under £3. So no complaints on the game length from me whatsoever, because it was very, very cheap. And it's worth a playthrough. Speaking of a playthrough, you can play through this a few times. There are several different endings, 3 different endings to this game, if I'm not mistaken, with plenty of Easter eggs and achievements and things to see every single time that you play through the game. So there is value for money there in terms of playing through the game multiple times too. But there are many games like this in existence, so why choose this one above the rest? Well, the thing that this game does best, in my opinion, is, and I've mentioned it a few times already up to this point, is build suspense for the player and really, really get the player on edge and on the edge of their seat. Now, a lot of these games are littered with jump scares, and that's basically their moneymaker, and it's not very good in terms of, how to tell a story or build suspense for the player or anything like that. There are jump scares here that they are definitely present in Suite 776, but the best thing that this game does is actually build that suspense and keep you on your toes and on edge. And I felt it very uncomfortable at one point. I'm not going to lie, when I was watching the TV screen, looking at the CCTV footage. And another one. Oh, hang on. All right, okay, she's coming this way. How do I get off this thing quickly? Come on. Come on. Get off. I can't get off the camera thing. She's going to be here any second. Come on. I'm at the mercy of I have no idea what. Yeah, Marcy is absolutely terrifying, by the way. The game controls really well. I use mouse and keyboard. You just use the WASD keys and the mouse to look around, obviously. You'll use the E key to interact with things around the house and stuff like that. And I think you can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out through looking further ahead of you and stuff like that. Very, very simple stuff there, but this is kind of the same on all games like this, but it handles very well. I didn't feel it very clunky. I felt the user interface really clunky in some games like this as well. The lighting was really good as well, to be honest. Like I said at the beginning, I was really surprised that you start off in a very well lit house in the middle of the day, which is not your usual setting for a horror game. I expected it to be dark throughout. You've got your camcorder as well, which obviously make things green for a while, and your battery does run out. So I was thinking, we're going to have a bit of an Outlast situation here. When your battery dies, you have to find another to replace it. So I wasn't looking forward to that. But thankfully, your battery charges up almost instantly when you turn your camera off. So I was happy to see that. Games like this have to hook you in, and they have to create a moment, a scary moment for you, build suspense, and put you on the edge of your seat in a very, very short amount of time, which I can imagine cramming a decent story into all of that in the short amount of time of less than an hour. It's got to be a bit of a mission for the developer, so fair play, because the story was actually fairly easy to follow on this one, and I felt the suspense throughout the whole journey. So actually, I'm thinking this was actually a very good experience for me. It was a perfect game to stream on a Friday night, streaming a horror game just for one stream alone. It worked out actually perfect for that. So if you've got an hour to kill and you want a scary experience, I do recommend Suite 776. Hell, I didn't run into any noticeable bugs or issues throughout my journey, and the game can run on pretty much a very low spec computer from what I can tell on the specs. It doesn't require any graphically groundbreaking PCs or any of the newer PCs or new graphics cards. You can basically use a potato to play this game. Probably not a potato, but you know what I'm saying. If you have any interest whatsoever in trying this game for yourself, I'll have a link in the description as to where you can find this. And thank you all very much for watching my short review on Suite 776. I really, really appreciate it. If you like what you see, feel free to like and subscribe, because it really helps the channel. Massively appreciate you for that. And I'll see you next time for another review. Take care of yourselves, guys, and catch you later.